Well, as we've been talking about, trade tensions between the U.S. and China continue to hurt various industries on both sides, especially in agriculture. U.S. soybean farmers are facing hardships as China has reportedly held off buying soybeans from the U.S. Some farmers say they're feeling helpless. Yahoo Finance's Adriana Belmonte spoke to some farmers, and she's here with more. And I know, you talk to these guys a lot. I'm also curious how their position has sort of evolved over time.
Yeah, so I was here last week, and it was right after that Trump announced there was going to be a new aid package, and the main thing that every single time I've talked to a farmer is they stress we want trade, not aid. And within the past week now, China said they're going to stop buying the soybeans, and you're talking about like how their sentiment has changed. There's one person stressed that their patience is starting to get a little bit thin, but they were also saying how, we've weathered these storms before, and we feel like Trump's on our side because he wouldn't have done the aid to begin with if he didn't care about us. So it's still pretty unwavering, the loyalty to him.
I think it's kind of interesting when you think about how do you trust Trump? Because he says we have a deal in place, but now we don't. I think a Cowen analyst said the same thing, is that if you're a farmer too, you think you have a deal in place to ship my goods now to Mexico or China. Oh, not so much anymore. So are they kind of, worried about that aspect of it too?
Well, what's interesting is that Trump and his administration, they've kind of made it seem like, oh, China's posturing right now. They're gonna back down. And a farmer from North Carolina also said something along those lines. They have to get their soybeans somewhere. They don't realize China's been going to Brazil this whole time. They found their customers now somewhere else. So they did find business elsewhere. So it's interesting to see, when, I don't want to say when they're going to realize that there's a chance China might not come back, but there's a lot of evidence going on right now that prove otherwise.
I was curious, though, because we've had farmers on who've told us they remain in support of the president's policies because they believe that we have to stand up to China. But the farmers are being asked to do a lot. The rest of us who don't make our living from farming don't seem to be asking to sacrifice the way they are. Did they bring that up? That is there a way the administration might be able to get all of us on board with the policy?
They really haven't. They are just still so convinced that that this is going to pull through, that this is all going to go away. But then a lot of times in the last few interviews I've done, they keep bringing up the weather as well that's been going on in March. There was an interview that somebody from the Nebraska Corn Board did with NPR, and she estimated there's $440 million in damages just from like the floods in the Midwest. And so they brought up how that's causing so much devastation. Now there's this, and I mean, there's going to be a point now where they realize, they might not be able to come back from this.
All right. Thanks, Adriana. I appreciate it.